Today's Parenting SOS focuses on some alternatives to a New Year's resolution that the whole family can really get involved in. How about choosing 3 words the whole family can live by? Dr. Darcy Walker with Core Parenting is here to kind of guide us through in selecting those 3 words. What difference can these 3 words make, Darcy?
They can be really empowering to the person. I think every year around New Year's we make resolutions and we pick these really specific goals, and then we usually fail within a week or two. And this is really a way of looking at your overall life and kind of the things that you want to be and the kind of traits that you want to embody, and then kind of employing them in a way that can move you forward.
What would be some examples of the words? And you said this is something you do with your children.
Yeah, I do it with clients, but for the past few years, I've also been doing it with my kids. So as a family, each person picks their own words, and kids are incredibly insightful as to the words that they pick. So they'll pick words like responsibility or brave or practice.
So this is artwork from your children?
Yeah. Yeah, so every year we pick our words, and then I encourage people to find ways to incorporate them into your everyday life so that you're remembering them and they kind of become part of your everyday language. So we do an art project where we paint our words and then we frame them and put them on our walls.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
And then do you reinforce that when you see that word being put to use?
Yes, especially children really embody the word and they will remember their words and call themselves on it. It's a part of positive parenting. It's really this idea that instead of constantly nitpicking on what a kid is doing wrong, we want to pick things that they're strong at or give them a narrative about themselves, about their strengths and positive things that they can do. So instead of why aren't you doing your homework? We talked about homework before. This can be a moment for responsibility. What kind of responsibility do you want to show here? Kids will often bring that up and say, "Mom, I was so responsible today." And you just kind of see them living their words in really great ways.
When sitting down to have that initial conversation with your kids, how do you explain it to them, and maybe how do you help them choose the words?
Yeah, I like to stay out of it actually.
Oh, okay.
So we sit down and we talk about the idea of having goals or words that we want to live by, and then I will share my own words as examples. So like last year my words were brave, transparent, and true. And so I might talk with them about how I picked those words and why I picked those words. And then just encouraging them to think about their words, and kids will almost always pick them on their own. I like for it to be their words, not my words, because that's a lot of judgment.
Good point.
And things like that.
So your family can have 3 words, but then individually you can have a separate 3 words.
Yeah, you could have family words as well. I usually have the kids pick their own individual words and I pick my individual words.
Because I'm not sure with 4 children whether they could agree on the 3
Right.
words.
Let them have their own.
And also it really is about the kind of the personal journey and kind of living these words throughout the year. I often will encourage clients to make them into your passwords and different ways, share them with your friends, really kind of anchor them down in your life, and it's much more powerful than resolutions.
What works for you as to how often you kind of do that family check-in, or maybe it's been a while since you've talked about it?
Yeah, over the year they kind of come and go. So actually they will kind of fade into the background a little bit, and then somebody will have a challenge or something coming up and you'll say, "Oh, my word is brave. This is such a good opportunity for me to be brave." And I really find that as a parent, when we model that, when I'm talking about my words, my kids are much more likely to talk about their words.
I'm curious, as you transition from year to year, do your words differ that much?
Yeah, because number one, ideally, you've kind of learned to embody and take on the words from last year, so you don't have to work at those as hard. So the things that you're working on this year transition in your life, just like, everyday problems come and go.
Wow, that's a really interesting little routine to get into with the kids.
It's really fun, and it's really positive and empowering, and just a nice way to engage with the family.
Wonderful.
Now, when you say you're being brave, I just have to say, you started coming on this show about a year ago.
It was one of my words.
Was that part of it?
Yes. and funny, my kids would say, because I would say, "Oh, I'm nervous to go on air," and they'd say, "You can be brave, Mom.
Oh,
you can
that's
do
really
it."
cute.
So it is actually an example of how we used my words, and my kids were part of that.
Did you share some of the words for this year already? I might have missed it.
Your words.
For this
Your
year,
words.
patience,
Patience.
Trust, and enough.
Those could be that could be every
Now
parent's.
it's
enough.
all very out there.
Yeah.
Yes, those are my
Patience and
words.
trust are predictable, but enough.
Enough.
That lends itself to a lot of questions we'll have to get into another time. Darcy Walker, thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
coming by again with Core Parenting.